Hi, I'm Rebecca Brand, and this is a video all about my favorite Thanksgiving recipes. Well, not all of them because there's just so many. But I have some really easy ones in this video, and you don't have to manhandle a turkey for what I call my Thanksgiving turkey recipe without the turkey, because I use a chicken. This is a stovetop dinner with all the tastes of a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. I make a stuffing by scratch. I make gravy from the pan drippings from that chicken. And then I do a popcorn, which has always been my kids' very favorite dish. And I always have them do that when they're having Thanksgiving with me because it's so much fun and it's so traditional to do an American corn dish with your Thanksgiving dinner. And maybe you've been invited to someone's house for dinner and you don't know what to bring. Well, I have a traditional cranberry sauce that only takes 10 minutes of cooking that is delicious, and it's light years better than anything that you would buy already prepared because it's fresh. And cauliflower is so popular now. I have the best cheesy cauliflower recipe that's hearty and rich, and those vegetarians at the table might love this dish. So try that one too. And maybe this year we'll just go right in for the pumpkin cupcakes. I make them with a porch pumpkin. Well, but you can make them with canned pumpkins too. They're delicious, they're so lush and moist, and that frosting is pumpkin-y too. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brand, and this is how to roast a turkey to the perfect brown. Because that's the trick, to have the perfectly roasted turkey. Wouldn't that be nice for your next holiday or family or friend dinner? This recipe is my classic butter sea salt recipe, the most simple of recipes. I've got a 12-pound turkey, butter that I've softened, and sea salt. That's it. That's the turkey part, but I'm also going to add my viral recipe on turkey stuffing. It's the simple and the most traditional of Thanksgiving tastes. And this recipe is cooked on your counter, so your oven has all the room for all the pies you're going to make the day of Thanksgiving or Christmas or whenever. I only have one oven in my house, and that's very precious real estate for my big dinners. I plugged it in and I preheated it at 450 for 7 minutes. Let's stuff the bird. I think I made too much, but that's okay. The extra goes in this casserole in my oven. It's another benefit to having the roaster on the counter. This has got to get cooked too. I'm taking 1 tablespoon of salt down the hatch and give it a rub. You want that salt spread inside because that's going to season the inner parts of the flesh of the turkey. I don't know where it went. I can't seem to feel it. Oh, there's a little lump. I see it got stuck in the ribs. Flick it out. Just scrape it out with your fingernail and keep rubbing. And stuff her. This is about 2.5 cups of my homemade stuffing. Gently push it in. You don't want too much because with her natural juices, all of the stuffing is going to expand a little bit. Oh, I hear her telling me I'm stuffed. Time to put your legs back together. And this turkey came with ankle bracelets. I'm getting another tablespoon of the salt, and this is going to go on the exterior of our little female bird. The smaller ones tend to be the hens. And now 1 more tablespoon of our sea salt, and I'm going to put it inside her. This is the neck cavity, and on her underside, and onto her pretty little wings. And 1 more scoop in the neck cavity. Best as you can. It may create a little hump, but that's okay, because someone's going to want to eat that. We're going to tuck under her little wings. And now we're going to rub her with the butter. So take a gob and pat, pat, pat. And I just do the top because underneath all this butter is going to go around her. So the top is all you need. And it's going to make a beautiful brown, crispy crust of skin in our wonderful roaster. So I'm taking the dome off, and that's hot. So in she goes. And lid on. And as excited as you are about your turkey that's being roasted, don't keep pulling off the lid. You need the heat to stay in there to give it that roast. I am so tempted. I want to see it every minute it's cooking, but you can't do that. You want that brown turkey skin. And now I'm reducing the temperature to 375, and that's the temperature it's going to cook at. Siri, set my timer for 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Okay, your timer is set for 1 hour and 45 minutes.
And our magic time is up. And I resisted the urge to peek. Dun da da da! It's turkey time! That's the most beautiful roasted turkey color I've ever arrived to. Wow, what great success I had, and I'm sure you will too. Whee! Whee! She looks gorgeous. And she popped her cork. She's done. And for the best gravy in the world, just pour into a saucepan. And I did about 3/4 a cup of cold water, and now I'm grabbing the flour, and into that cup it goes. And with the fork, I am just gonna stir it up and get the lumps out of it. We're gonna add one more. Drop her in and stir her up, and stir it good. That's ready. Add your flour mixture and whip it up. And after it's blended, turn your stove on high and keep whisking because you don't want the bottom of it to burn, and it's gonna take about 2 minutes to come to a boil. And when it comes to a boil, that's when that flour is gonna thicken and you're gonna get, woo, the thick gravy you're looking for. I think we're there. And we're gonna check it for flavor. It's my method to cool it down so it doesn't burn my mouth. That's really good. But if you want to ramp up the flavor, I cheat with a teaspoon of chicken bouillon. Bing! And whisk it around. Flavor test. Okay, here we go. That's even better. Yum. You want a gravy that's extra salty or extra flavorful because it's going to go on top of the turkey and on top of everything else people have like their rolls. They're looking for a lot of flavor. I nailed it. And perhaps for one of your traditions, you might have something special like my little gravy dish I made in 1995. So let's pour in our gravy into our special gravy bowl. Yum. And carve our turkey. I've let it sit for 20 minutes because I don't want the juices to run out. Let's see what she looks like inside. Oh, wow. Moist and delicious. It's perfectly cooked. So I'm gonna slice her up. Oh, yeah. And can I just do the dip? Nobody's looking. I'm getting crunch off that skin. Wow, that's delicious. And the turkey is delicious too. I'm Rebecca Brand. Subscribe to my channel. Ring my bell to get notified of my next video. Make a comment. Let's talk turkey. Let's keep making great recipes in life. Like a turkey recipe that's perfectly done and perfectly roasted. The first time of my life. That's really true. See you next time. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brand, and we're gonna make a 30-minute chicken dinner. This chicken dinner is made with all those Thanksgiving flavors, so you can make this great dinner any time of year. The ingredients for this dish are chicken, chopped carrots, chopped celery, and chopped onion, and bread. And for this recipe, I'm using homemade bread I made from my bread maker. And it's only about 40 cents a loaf. I've done the math. I'm also using chicken granules, and optional is parsley. The most fun thing about this dinner is that popped corn. My kids always take over this dish and make it themselves. So I suggest you farm this out to your family labor. Let's get cooking. Salt and pepper your chicken. Give her a flip for each side. And you're gonna need a lot of butter. And using sage makes it taste like Thanksgiving. So cut a Cuban butter in half to get to a 1/4 cup, and into a skillet add your butter and skin side down chicken. We're gonna cook that first because that's temperamental, so lay them all in. I'm doing 4 today. And that's enough butter to coat the pan, so this is coming out. So let that all cook on medium. So while your chicken is cooking, let's make our stuffing. This bread is left over and it's a little dry. Better to soak up all the rich broth and butter we're gonna put in there. We're gonna crisscross applesauce and cut them up into little tiny bites. And now we're gonna toast them. So in a medium pot, big enough to hold your stuffing, I'm putting in our excess butter. And our little pitty pat is gonna coat the bottom of this pan and get ready for a mosh pit party of breadcrumbs and bread cubes, as the case may be. And on a medium saucepan, turn your next largest burner on high. And add a whole stick of butter right in the bottom and get her melting. And add your carrots, that's 1 cup, your chopped celery, that's another cup, and a cup of onions. This is the quick method to get to the finish line fast. And the trick is, don't disturb them. Flatten it down and let them get a brown on one side before you give it a flip. That's going to take about 5 minutes. Time to check our chicken. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So I'm going to flip her over. Let's check this one. Nope, not good enough. Down she goes. Because really, doesn't everybody love that crispy skin? So while we're waiting, let's add our sage. A lot of it comes off in the cooking process, so I'm pretty generous with my sage. And let's give our breadcrumbs a stir. It's starting to get brown. You gotta keep an eye on that. It's been 5 minutes. Look at how this is already cooked down. Let's keep cooking because I want some of that to be brown. This part of my stove is the hottest, so I'm gonna turn my pan around. And we need 1.5 cups of water with 2 tablespoons of chicken bouillon. This is going to flavor up our bread and our vegetables for that stuffing. So give it a stir. Soup's on deck. So let's check now. That looks great. Flip the bird, every single one. Add some more sage and turn your stove to low. Let it finish up cooking. There's the brown I'm looking for. I can see it on the edge of the pot. Let's check them for tenderness. Wow. So when they're fork tender, time to add the broth. Just half your quantity and give it a stir. What we're doing is we're dissolving the bouillon granules with half of that broth. Bring it to a boil and reduce it by half. The reduction will take about 4 minutes, and then we're going to add 1/2 cup of parsley because I want that a little bit cooked so it's tender when it goes in your mouth. So give it a swish and stir that up. Final stir and off. And with your stuffing that's dry, in goes your vegetables with the reduced chicken broth and all that butter. And give it a toss like a salad. And so now we have to check it for moisture. And I'm thinking that one is a little bit too dry. And what our hack is, we saved half the bouillon. And because you're making it in your home kitchen and I want it to turn out successful for you, depending how much you let those vegetables and broth reduce will depend how much more of the broth you want to put in. So here we go. I'm dumping the rest in and stirring it up. We can see the liquid below. And we want that absorbed. But I do believe I like moisture stuffing. So I'm gonna add a little more water, maybe 1/4 cup. And this is just what you do in the kitchen. I'm not gonna give you a ticket to improvise. This is why cooking is fun. It's so creative. That looks better. I really like moist stuffing. Just in case little Sally hogged all the gravy. And with the pan we cooked our vegetables in, it's time now to pop the corn. So get to your hottest burner. And on my stove, it's the big one. And turn her on high. And with 1/4 cube of butter, and 2 cups or 1 package of frozen corn. That's what I do. I get that frozen sweet corn. It's petite. I just think it's more tender. You put it in, spread it to 1 layer, and do not disturb. And I put my chicken on the back burner and just keep her on low. All of that luscious juice is not going to go to waste. Stay to the end for my trick. So with that corn on high, you'll flip it at about the 5-minute mark when you see some of the browning happen. By doing this on high, the inside is still tender, but the outside is deliciously caramelized to bring out an extra sweetness and texture to those bites. That is so delicious. So add just a little bit of salt. That butter already has a lot in it. It's almost dinner time. I think I want that piece. Oh, and with that stuffing right next to it. Look how moist that looks. Can you hear the pop? Now we know it's done. So the popcorn is arriving to the party. This is my kids' favorite part of the dinner. It's delicious. But wait, there's more. Take your chicken out and put it back on the stove and turn that heat on high. And when it sizzles, put in 1 teaspoon of flour. And whisk her up because we're making gravy. Add 1 teaspoon of your bouillon granules. Stir up and add 1 cup of water. Slow as she goes. And cook her down. Keep on whisking, otherwise you're gonna have lumps. So check your gravy for thickness. How thick do you like it? And if it's not thick enough, I put 1/4 cup of water and 1/4 teaspoon flour. And I whisk her up so it dissolves. And I add it in 1/4 cup at a time. Because if you did the entire thing in water, it wouldn't have that rich roux flavor. But just a little sheet doesn't seem to matter. That's the thickness I want. Let's put that sauce on. Look at that gravy. That's the way, I like it. I hope you like your Thanksgiving dinner made with a chicken. Time to try it. So let's cut that bite. Oh yeah. And I'm gonna add a little sauce to my liking, which happens to be completely wet with our gravy. I want some stuffing with that bite. That's Thanksgiving in a mouthful. And I'm thankful for all of you watching this video. And I'm thankful for you making my channel, I'm gonna cry, so successful. Because it can be Thanksgiving every day. Gobble, gobble. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brand, and we're making homemade stuffing today. This is my favorite recipe. I use it to stuff my turkey on Thanksgiving, and it's great for chicken too. I use a loaf of homemade bread. You can use any kind of bread. Carrots, celery, onions. I'm throwing in herbs, but these are optional. Butter, salt, and turkey stock. And that recipe's on my channel. You're gonna need to saute up your vegetables, so I'm getting a whole cube of butter and I'm gonna start that melting on my stove while I chop up my carrots. So turn your butter on low and let it melt slowly. If you get it too hot, it's gonna turn the flavor when it gets brown. You don't want that. I like my carrots in little pieces in my stuffing, so I'll cut the carrots once down the center and once down the center again, and then crosshatch. So turn that heat on high now, and in go your carrots. This is 4 carrots. Now, I can turn it up to high because I know it's not going to burn the butter. The temperature of those carrots bring it down. And I'm adding 1 fatty onion to this party. I want my onion in little tiny pieces too, so it's the same kind of deal. I cut it vertical, and then I cut it horizontal, but I'm super careful because onions can be really slippery. This is when a sharp knife really comes in handy. And then crosshatch. It's kind of a drawing term, but I use it in cooking too. Okay, onions, go join those carrots. Time for a little dunk. And a little stir to get that heat all even. At this time, I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon salt. Now, for government purposes, believe me, that's about a teaspoon. I wash my celery really good to make sure there's no pesticides in it. And now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna slice it up the center so they're littler pieces, because you don't want a bite of just celery or carrot. You want a bite of a little bit of everything to make it all balanced. I love the look and the taste of the leaves, so I leave them in there. I don't waste anything, really. Let's do our crosshatch. I'm using 1 whole half of stock because I love vegetables in my stuffing. So that celery is about the same quantity of the carrots and of the onions. It's like equal in there. So we mix up the mixture and we flatten it out, because what we want is major contact on the bottom of that pan, because if we're lucky, we're going to get a little browning, and that's going to give an extra richness to the flavor of the vegetables in your stuffing. So keep it on high. Now I'm going to cut my bread up to go in the stuffing. You can go ahead and buy those unseasoned little packets of stuffing and use that. That's fine. But I am addicted to my bread maker. Watch my bread maker bread recipe. It's amazing. This loaf of bread cost me about 40 cents for the whole loaf. I make these almost every single day. It makes the house smell great. It's delicious every time. And now look, for 40 cents, I have all that bread for my stuffing. I like to cut the crusts off because I really want my stuffing to be really moist. So I slice my bread up into little tiny pieces, and I use my same old crosshatch method. I'm sorry to bother you on that point. Just think of it like a checkerboard. And then I get my little cubes. Isn't that cute? And while I'm doing this, my vegetables are browning. I can hear them sizzling in the background. Into a big container they go. You need a bowl big enough to handle this. Or a pot, whatever you got's fine. I'm adding herbs to this today, but you can skip this. It is so optional. Your dinner is going to be fantastic, whether you have parsley, which this is, and some sage, which this is. The herbs are really pretty for color and they add some flavor, but it's not mandatory. It'd be really good without them too. So a handful of chopped parsley goes in your breadcrumbs. And I'm going to mince up about 1 tablespoon of fresh sage leaves or 1 teaspoon of dried. Because the dried are all dehydrated, you don't need as much. But for the fresh, you need a little more. And I chop it up really small so no piece gets in a friend's teeth. Voila. It's been cooking for about 7 minutes. I'm adding in my butter. This is to melt too. And at this time, I'm adding another ½ teaspoon of salt. Basically, it's about a ½ teaspoon per every one of those 3 vegetables. 1½ teaspoons altogether. So we're going to stir up that butter and get it all melted. And you really want your vegetables well cooked for your stuffing. You want them soft. Oh yeah. It smells great, and I'm seeing some of that browning happening and coming up within those vegetables. That's what I was looking for. And when those vegetables are soft and that butter's melted, we are ready for our next step. I'm adding 3 cups of turkey stock to my 6 cups of bread cubes. Mix it up so the moisture gets all around. And we're going to add all the vegetable mixture now with all that butter. Now that's going to make for one moist turkey stuffing. Toss that like a salad. Oh wow, that looks great. I use the stuffing right into my turkey. I have been criticized, and some cooks just don't think that's very sanitary. I don't care. I've been doing it every single year I've been alive, and it works out for me. But another way to go is to put it in a pretty casserole dish and foil it up. Bake it till hot, and that's usually at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. And then you take the top off to brown it. So I'm going to do that now. So here's our Thanksgiving stuffing. Not in the turkey this time. Time for a bite. Ooh, it's hot. It's perfectly seasoned. I taste that sage in it. It's great. Subscribe to my channel, and let's keep cooking great meals in the kitchen. And happy Thanksgiving. Rebecca Brand, and this is how to make pumpkin pie, and it's the best pie recipe in the whole wide world. I guarantee it. I'm going to tell you why. You may not know this about me, and you may not believe this about me, but I used to be a rancher, and I had acres of pumpkins. I grew ones of every variety. You can use any variety of pumpkins, and these are the ones I have on my porch for Halloween, but I've also chosen the white pumpkin. And in my opinion, the white pumpkin is the best. This is a white Cinderella pumpkin. This Cinderella was the first on the scene to have the flat fairy tale shape. In the past 15 years, a whole lot of new kinds of pumpkins have come on the scene. I have made hundreds of pumpkin pies. And I've tried every kind of pumpkin I've raised in my gardens. The very best flavor for a pumpkin pie is the white pumpkins. And they come in many varieties. There's the ghost pumpkin, the Casper pumpkin, all kinds of white pumpkins. I've also tried just the regular Cinderella pumpkin, that's orange. But my favorite is the cross between the ghost pumpkins and the Cinderella pumpkins, this pumpkin. And I have a trick for easy baking in your oven. We all think, let's carve our pumpkin, and let's cut out the seeds before we bake it. Well, I'm just not sure that that's gonna work because I just don't have the strength to carve some heavy pumpkin that's gonna slip and fall and I might cut myself. It could be a very dangerous proposition. It's just so hard to cut. It takes so much strength. Any kind of knife I use, it's just hard as a rock. So the first step in making your pumpkin pie is to bake it. So let's bake this. So put that pumpkin in your very biggest roasting pan. And this method is good for any old pumpkin, even last night's jack-o'-lantern. And into the oven she goes. I put her on the bottom and I shove her in. Oh my gosh, that's a 15-pound pumpkin. She's gonna take 3 hours to cook to be soft. She's a white beluga whale. Close that oven up and set it at 350 degrees. The ingredients for this dish are pie crust, and you need to have a biggie because we're making the best, biggest pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pulp, and that's the secret because it's made from a pumpkin you've had on your porch. This is porch pumpkin pie. But the secret is the varieties of pumpkin you should use for this recipe. White sugar and brown sugar, 4 eggs, heavy cream, cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger. And the biggest pie plate you have, because I'm gonna fill it to the brim with this extra big, luscious, best pumpkin pie in the world. It's been 3 hours. I think it's done. Open her up, and with the fork, we're gonna test her. It is soft as butter, look at that. Look at that inside. That's great. You really need it to be that soft for a very creamy, custardy pumpkin pie. But it's gonna be heavy. Here's our white ghost pumpkin, ready to go. And I got a great technique. I line another pan with foil, and now I'm gonna slice her top off. Look at how easy this slice goes. Whee! Because now it's soft. It's not hard like when I started the recipe. And I'm using a 2 spatula method. Whee! It really helped to have this bridge of the second foil-lined pan. And by cutting her in half, it's gonna cool her faster. And you just scoop out those seeds and put them in the discard. Just like that. There's never been an easier way to clean out the seeds in a pumpkin. This is it. This is so fast. Look at that. And this 15 pounds of pumpkin was only $5 at my store. That was so inexpensive for all of this. It takes 2 cups of pumpkin pulp for every pie. Now that's gonna be about this hunk. That's all you need for 1 pie, and I'm just gonna eyeball it. There's 1 pie, 2 pie, 3 pie, maybe 4-ish. And under these seeds, which go in discards, I would say that's another pie. And in the crash zone, that's at least maybe 1 more pie. So altogether, this 15-pound pumpkin is gonna give you about 5 or 6 pies. Wow, for $5. Done, chum. This 10-pound pumpkin made 10 cups of pulp, and that's good for at least 5 pies. These are the remains of the day. This is the pumpkin shell. That's just the skin left over. Crash zone, here's the stem, and there are the seeds. And because I had it in foil, what an easy cleanup I'm gonna have. Time to get to the recipe. And coming straight from the package, give it an unroll. I love that it already comes on parchment paper because I'm gonna pre-bake this crust. And give it a flip right into your pie pan. And I'm so happy because this is a 9-inch deep pan because I like to make a big pie. And I finally have a company that makes a big crust. So I don't have to roll it out like I used to be able to put it and fill it so it goes all the way up to the edge of my pan. I stretch it a little bit and round up the edges. And now it's time for the fluting. Take your pincher fingers and your thumb and make your little triangles. I go all around the pan. It's so easy. And if I have an imperfection, I leave it because then the eater knows you've done this by yourself and you made a homemade pie. If it's too perfect, they think you bought it at the bakery. Well, this is a homemade pie from my kitchen. I want to show that off. And around we go until we're done. There. And now we're going to put the parchment paper back in and we're going to blind bake. And because I don't want the bottoms to pop up, I'm putting in a layer of rice. Any rice you want is fine, and just smooth it around so it doesn't puff up this way. I've preheated my oven to 425 degrees, and in goes that pie crust. That's gonna cook for 15 minutes. So set your timer for 15 minutes. Bing! And while that's baking, we're gonna make the filling. I'm using a mixer, but you can use a bowl and a whisk, whatever's to your liking. We wanna put our pumpkin puree in first. This is 2 cups of it. And we wanna give it a mix, so I turn that on medium. It's really soft out of the pumpkin, but I mix it up a little bit just to make sure it's super smooth. You can do that with a potato masher or the backside of a fork. But I like to get to the finish line fast. So to that, I'm adding 4 eggs. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Rapid fire and mix. Add 3/4 cup white sugar, granulated, and add 3/4 cup brown sugar. This is medium brown. I don't care what kind of brown you have. Brown's brown. Oh yeah, that looks great. Add 1½ teaspoons cinnamon. 1 teaspoon ginger. This is granulated ginger. And this is 1 teaspoon nutmeg. And that's exactly what's in the bottle of pumpkin pie spice, but it's cheaper if you make it yourself. So mix it up and add 3/4 cup heavy cream. Because you're making a pumpkin pie, which really is a type of custard. It's a custard because of the eggs and the cream. Isn't that great? All pumpkin pies are custard pies because they have eggs and cream. And when it looks like it's combined, it is combined. It's been exactly 15 minutes. Time to take them out. Done, chum. This is what it looks like. The paper is cool, so what I do is just grab it, stick it in a bowl, and back goes the pie crust for another 3 minutes because the inside is a little moist because the parchment paper was touching it with the rice. Close her up and timer on for 3. Okay, those 3 minutes are done. Let's take it out. And so all of your crust after the blind bake has a crisp to it. So we're gonna pour in the filling. In goes that pumpkin pie custard filling. Beautiful. And look at that amount. That pie crust is perfect for this amount. And a little scrape to get every last bit. After all, we went to a lot of work to get the very best pumpkin pie into our pie. We want every drop. So white Cinderella has to go back in the oven. So for the pie bake, I'm going to turn the oven on to 350 degrees because that's a slow cook for that custard in that pie. Oh yeah. And she's going to cook for 1 hour and 5 minutes. So set your timer for 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'm having a dinner party tonight, so that whole oven is going to get filled with many more pies. So Cinderella has some company at her party. Cinderella is done. Oh, beautiful. That's her. I'm going to give her a poke to make sure. That's great. She's done. Cook to the quick. I also give her a little jiggle because if she was wet in the middle, I would have to put her back for about another 5 minutes. She's fine. That is done. This one went in later and it's still wet. That's the difference. Not done. And this pie is done. On the bottom rack, it gets hotter faster. This is beautiful. So I'm taking this one out as well. And another 10 minutes for that other undone pie. Oh, the pie has cooled and it's time to top it with the whipped cream. I have this recipe on my channel. I can make it with 2 minutes by hand, or you can use a mixer. Oh yeah. Oh man, time to slice. Wow, that crust even sounds flaky. Look at that, beautiful. Oh wow. And I think I'll have a little more whipped cream on mine, please. Time for the bite. That pumpkin makes the very best flavored pumpkin pie I'm sure you've ever had. I've grown them from seed, and that's what I know, and that's what I want to share with you. Back to my pie. I'm Rebecca Brown. Subscribe to my channel. Ring my bell to get notified of my next video. Let's keep making great recipes in life. Like the very best pumpkin pie I'm sure you've ever had in your life. Time for some pie. Like velvet. Yum. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brand, and today we're going to make homemade whipped cream with only a whisk and a bowl. The ingredients for this dish are heavy whipping cream, sugar, and vanilla extract. That's it. To get a head start in this recipe, I put a bowl in the freezer to get it super cold. This is going to be a 1 cup recipe, but you can double it for 2. So pour 1 cup of heavy whipping cream into that cold bowl. It's really important that you use heavy whipping cream to make this recipe. To that, put in 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I set my phone to see how long it's going to take. Start whisking. I've got a recipe on my channel using a mixer, but I want to do it by hand, and sometimes it's just the fastest, easiest, and best cleanup. Way to go. So it's almost a minute, and that's what it looks like. Let's keep going. It's been 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Done. See those soft peaks? Soft peaks are how to tell if you're done. We have them. I got my workout today, but I got my reward too. I'm Rebecca Brand, subscribe to my channel, and let's keep making great things in the kitchen like homemade whipped cream. Did that make you hungry? Well, let's make some cranberry sauce next. This is that super simple, easy recipe that you can make a few days ahead of time too. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brand, and today we're making cranberry sauce. If you make this recipe just 1 time, you're going to see how easy it is, and you'll never get the kind in the can again. You need cranberries, sugar, and water. That's it. Pour 1 cup of water into a saucepan. Add to that 1 cup of sugar. Turn your pot on high, and you'll stir to dissolve the sugar, and you're going to bring that to a boil. A watch pot never boils. Well, in this case, it took 2 minutes, but that 2 minutes felt like an eternity. So there's the boil, and now we're going to pour in 12 ounces, which is the size these bags come in, of cranberries. Let's stir that around. Now those cranberries are going to bring back down that temperature of water. So now I'm going to have to wait another 2 or 3 minutes for it to come out to a rapid boil. What's happening is they're popping because they're bursting, and that's what you want. You want them to cook on the inside and burst open those skins to make the most beautiful of cranberry sauces fresh. Now you're going to let that boil for 10 minutes on medium-low. It's been 10 minutes, so we're going to pour it into our serving bowl. So put your plastic wrap on it. It's going to take a few hours to chill down for same-day serving. Or keep it in your fridge for a few days before your big Thanksgiving dinner. It's been a couple of hours. I took it out of the refrigerator, so this is what you're gonna have. See, it gelled up. Just like the kind in the can, except this is fresh. The reason it gelled up is there's pectin in that fruit. Now, pectin's nature's way of making something into a jelly. Now, where's the turkey? This is pure. This is classic. Subscribe to my channel and have a happy Thanksgiving. Didn't that look good with that bright red color? Yum, it tastes good too. Next we have the cheesy cauliflower, and although this isn't a Thanksgiving video, this is great all year long. It's a good standalone dish. It is so hearty, and it's done great on YouTube. So I want to share this one with you too. Here comes cheesy cauliflower. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brand, and today we're making cheesy cauliflower. This is a great dish for a cold winter's night. It's really a great comfort food. You need a head of cauliflower, cheddar cheese, cream cheese, and butter. So I just washed my cauliflower, and I'm going to take off this green part. I don't want the leaves in it, I just want the white part of the cauliflower. So I cut them off like this. You just put your knife in and twist them off. That's the fastest way. It's so funny. This must be half the weight of the cauliflower, and I don't like that I have to throw this away, but I don't cook with it, so it's kind of a waste to me. So now chop it up, and these pieces I'm just going to chop in half because they're the densest part of the cauliflower. And then I chop the head up in like 8s or 10s. Just a rough chop is fine. The densest part of the vegetable is what takes the longest, so I want to expose more of that. So into about 1 inch of boiling water it goes. That stove's on high, and it takes the boil out of the water, so I'm keeping it on high. Because I'm always in a hurry to get something on the table, I'm going to cover it so it cooks faster. That's going to take 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes. I'm checking it for softness because you want it to be pierced easily with a fork. Depending on how soft you want your cauliflower, you can leave it in here for a couple extra minutes. But for my taste, that's about right for me. So turn the heat to off, and we have to drain that now. Okay, so drain that in a colander. So I turn the heat on high, and I'm putting in 4 tablespoons of butter and 1/2 cup of cream cheese. I'm getting a rubber spatula. I'm just stirring that around a little bit. So I sure don't want anything to burn. I don't want my butter to brown. I'm going to turn it out to medium about now. And with a fork, mush up the cream cheese. That is looking beautiful. And as that cream cheese is almost melted, now I'm going to add 1/2 cup of cheddar cheese. To that, I add 1/2 teaspoon of salt because those products already have a lot of salt in them, so I'm fine and dandy with that. And some rings of cracked black pepper. Mix it up and add your cauliflower. And toss it together. Moms, this is a real cheat to get those vegetables down. It smells so good. Beautiful. And to give a hint of what's in it, I'll top it with a little cheese. Time for that cheesy cauliflower bite. This is a great vegetable for dinner. Yum. Subscribe to my channel. Tell me what you want to make, and let's keep cooking great things in the kitchen. Have you saved any room for dessert? Because now we're going to make those pumpkin cupcakes. Here we go. Rebecca Brand, and today we're going to make pumpkin cupcakes. The ingredients for this dish are flour, sugar, eggs, butter, baking powder, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, vanilla extract, powdered sugar, food coloring, and the star, pumpkin. I just used a pumpkin from my porch from Halloween, and that's what's going to make our pumpkin puree today. But you can use canned, that's fine too. So I've lined my cupcake pan with little papers, and I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. So I took my porch pumpkin and cut it in half, took the seeds out, and put it face side down on this baking tray lined with foil, and I cooked it for 2 hours at 400 degrees. If you want to see the start to finish on that, check out my Halloween pumpkin pie recipe, and I show you. For this recipe, I need 3/4 cups of pumpkin puree for the cake mix and 1/4 cup for my frosting. We need to puree our pumpkin. You can use a potato masher if you have one, or you can use your blender, food processor. But I do things the old-fashioned way because it's sometimes simpler than having to clean all that equipment. So if you come across a little piece of skin like this one, you want to take that out because that's going to taste like paper in your dish. I've gotten so many comments that the only kind of pumpkin you can use is a sugar pie pumpkin in your cooking, and that is just not true. I have made tons and tons of pumpkin dishes, and I just use the pumpkin I have around. Or you can use butternut squash, or all kinds of different pumpkins and squashes. And this is not going to go to waste in my household. I'm going to use a pumpkin I have left over from Halloween. Mash it until it's really soft. Let's mix our ingredients now. We start with 1 cup of sugar. And when I bake cakes, I always cream together my sugar and my oil or my butter. So I'm putting in 1/2 stick of butter with that, and we're going to mix that up. Make sure your butter is room temperature so it mixes with that sugar well. Now I'm going to add 3/4 cup of my pumpkin puree. Add 2 eggs. I'm going to add my spices now. So my proportion for my pumpkin pie spice is 1 teaspoon cinnamon with 1/2 teaspoon ginger and 1/2 teaspoon nutmeg. Now that's the proportions I use every time for anything that requires a pumpkin spice. Let's add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So we're going to mix all our wet ingredients with some of those spices. I just hate to sift, so this is my trick. I'm going to dump in my 1 1/4 cups flour, and I'm going to kind of aerate it as it goes in, because aerating is what's really happening when you're sifting. So this recipe is really a dump and go recipe. Our 2 teaspoons of baking powder has to get mixed in that flour pretty evenly, so I'm going to cheat. Watch this. Here goes those 2 teaspoons of the baking powder, and look at that. I'm just going to shove it in there and kind of mix it around. So I'm going to mix that for about 1 to 2 minutes till it's thoroughly combined, and this is my cupcake batter. Looking good. So with an ice cream scoop, I'm going to put my batter in my little cups. This is the most handy dandy trick. And one of the reasons why you like to use the same measuring device in the same way, it's going to cook evenly in your oven. So they'll all be done at the same time. The rule of thumb is to fill them 2/3 the way up. And that's about exactly 1 ice cream scoop. Yay! Okay, I don't want to waste any, and I see I have a little bit left in the bottom of this mixing bowl. So I'm going to find it, and I'm going to stick it in the ones that are a little more scant. There you go. That was kind of scant. Give it a good eyeball and make sure they're pretty even. I'm stealing from Peter to pay Paul right now. Okay, I'm happy with this. Into that oven it goes. So depending on your oven, those are probably going to have to bake between 16 to 20 minutes. So check them after 16 minutes to see how they're doing. So to make that frosting, I'm using 1/3 cup of the pumpkin puree, and that goes in first. And let's make our pumpkin pie spice again. That's 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon nutmeg, and 1/2 teaspoon ginger. I want to mix this up. While that mixer's on low, I'm going to start to add my powdered sugar. So all together, that's 3.5 cups of powdered sugar. The moisture from the pumpkin puree is what's going to bind it all together to make the frosting. This is interesting because this is one frosting that I'm not using any butter, and usually I do. Mix that well and then scrape down the sides. You want to make sure all of that sugar is incorporated. So now we're going to add a food coloring to that. I'm using a little yellow and a little red because I want that beautiful orange color to really pop out on our frosting. So there is no specific science to this. Just give it a shot. Now look at that. Ooh, isn't that cool? That looks like just the outside of that pumpkin that I used to make it. I love that. That is so cool. That's the consistency you're looking for. Let's taste it now. Make sure it turned out good. It's really spicy. I like it. I've been checking, and my cupcakes took 20 minutes to bake. So I'm checking them now with a toothpick. Yes, finally, the whole house smells so good from these pumpkin cupcakes. Yummy. So let them thoroughly cool, because if not, your frosting is going to go all over the sides and get all runny. All right, I took them out of that pan and I scattered them about so they could cool faster. So let's frost. I do not like pastry bags, so I don't frost with them. You know, there's a lot of chefs out there that do, and God bless you. But for me, I just like to do it the old-fashioned way. When I was growing up, we just had a knife, and that was it. I'm always in it to win it, and winning it is getting that first bite in my mouth as fast as I can. If you like me, I hope you comment and you share me with your friends. And you know what? Let me know what your favorite cupcakes are. They are cute. They're like little mini pumpkins. I always make a little extra in my recipes for frostings because I always go through it. And all those other recipes never seem to have enough for me. I'm decorating them with half a pecan. Pecans are from the harvest too, just like those pumpkins. All right, let's try it. Oh my gosh, is that so cute? Love it. Oh man, I am telling you, this is the most moist pumpkin cupcake, like a pumpkin bread, except a little bit lighter. This could almost be a breakfast muffin too. Cheers. Bon appetit, subscribe to my channel, and let's keep cooking. I hope you liked this group of Thanksgiving recipes. If you'd like more recipes like how to thaw a turkey, you might want to watch that a week before Thanksgiving so you can watch the sales. And I suggest getting one of those frozen turkeys because they're such a good deal around this time of year. On Rebecca Brand Recipes, just go there and search for Thanksgiving recipes and you'll get them all. How to make stock, how to make gravy, how to make that turkey a few different ways, and everything else that goes along for a great Thanksgiving dinner for you, your friends, your family, and also to take along to someone else's house. Thanks for watching, and I'm wishing you a very, very happy Thanksgiving full of love and good food. See you next time. If you want to make any of the recipes you saw on my show today, I've posted them all on YouTube. I'm going to show you how to find them so you can jot the recipes down and make it at your own house. So you got to get to a computer, you press your website browser, and you type in YouTube Rebecca Brand Recipes, and then you're going to get my page. And then you want to search for the recipe you saw on the show. So you go into the search bar, it's like you can never see it, so let me show you where it is. And in that bar, you type in what you saw. Let's say you saw a chicken recipe. So if you type in chicken and you press return, you're going to get all my chicken dishes. And then you can just click on whatever chicken you want. It's as simple as that. So start watching the video, and in it comes the recipe. So you click pause, and that's it. Get your pencil and paper together, start writing. Those are the ingredients, and they're exactly what I make on camera. For the techniques, you might want to watch it again. But bon appetit, happy cooking, and I'd love to know how it turns out. Cheers.